Welcome back everyone, it's time to go balls deep! Demon Slayer Season 2 revealed more information about Tanjiro's family's secret of the Hinokami Kagura dance, which is related to the first ever sun breathing technique, including Tanjiro's mysterious Hanafuda earrings. So in this video, I'll be breaking down everything from why these earrings led Muzan to kill Tanjiro's entire family, along with the importance of these earrings and how they relate back to the first ever breath user, Yoriichi. But first, you might be thinking like, what are these Hanafuda earrings? Well, it's these badass looking bling bling things. Tanjiro's drip is on point. Man's spitting heat on Muzan, the king of pop, without breaking a sweat. You think this is a joke? Look at these sales. Numbers don't lie. So I think we all have to concede. Tanjiro has the drip.
Alright, I want to quickly thank our sponsors ExpressVPN. ExpressVPN is giving you a special discounted subscription of 3 extra months for free with our special link in the description and comment section below. We have been using this VPN for over a year and love the benefits. We live in the UK, but with ExpressVPN we have access to limited region exclusive content, meaning that with just a press of a button we can go to Japan, USA and other regions to watch anime which you wouldn't normally have. For example, I can watch Naruto with the USA version of Netflix rather than the UK. The amount of content you can stream will literally quadruple, as this works with Netflix, Amazon, Hulu and other streaming services you can think of. Another benefit which, let's be honest, is that some of you like searching up your favorite waifu doing your research, right? I ain't gonna judge. But you're probably thinking the private browser tab does its job and no one will know. But this isn't true. Your history can still be logged with your day-to-day activities by your ISP and then could potentially be sold to third parties depending on which country you live in.
Hey yo, what the
Start by clicking on our link in the description, expressvpn.com/abd. You can get 3 months for free, but the best bit is that they also have 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's nothing to lose, just try it out.
Tanjiro's Hanafuda earrings are very similar to Japanese playing cards made into earrings. However, his earrings, which shows red and white flowers, aren't part of any official Hanafuda set and have been created specifically for the manga. They're also very similar to Western style playing cards such as Jack, King, Queen, you know. But these Hanafuda earrings also hold symbolic importance too, as they represent Tanjiro's relationship to his ancestor, as well as the inheritor of the very first breath of the sun. In fact, the imagery of the earrings itself is that of a rising sun with its rays reaching outwards. Though this being the symbol for Imperial Japan, it's also a representation of true light overcoming everything, which directly is an antithesis of the existence of demons, as they thrive in the darkness and die beneath the sun. With that said, these earrings hold so much importance, even to the point of being the very reason why Tanjiro's family died and why Muzan too will end up dying. So let's start with what we know about Tanjiro and the real reason behind Kibutsuji Muzan killing his family personally. It might initially seem like Muzan was just casually hunting and he happened to stumble upon Tanjiro's family, but this isn't the case at all. Like, when do you ever think an anime main character tragic backstory is just coincidence? That never happens! So why did Muzan kill Tanjiro's family? Well, we get a first big hint in Demon Slayer Season 1 Episode 8 of the anime, when Tanjiro encounters Muzan for the very first time. During this encounter, Muzan feels a strong sense of fear as his traumatic near-death experience re-emerges. In this flashback, we see that Muzan is seemingly defeated and on the ground, whilst this badass Hanafuda earring bearing Demon Slayer looks down on him. However, the Demon Slayer couldn't finish the job as Muzan is still alive in the present era. Anyways, as the story progresses, we learn that this badass, being the only person in the world who almost killed Muzan, was none other than Yoriichi. Now guys, we already made an extensive video going over Yoriichi's life, explaining how he was blessed by God, bearing the Demon Slayer mark, subsequently opening his eyes to the transparent world, easily becoming the strongest swordsman to to ever live and creating the first ever sun-breathing breath style along with all of its derivatives. If you guys want to know everything about this legend, then click the link in the pinned comment section below. And guys, with that, don't forget to smash the like button and ding that notification bell because we got so much content coming out that you're gonna enjoy. But coming back to Tanjiro's family, the Upper Demon Moon 1 Kokushibo mentioned how he and Muzan would exterminate every swordsman who knew Yoriichi's Breath of the Sun forms, as stated in chapter 178 of the manga. Kokushibo massacred countless individuals who were related to Yoriichi in some ways, or even if they were suspected to be somehow connected to him. This shows just how deeply ingrained the fear in Muzan was, as he had been hunting down anybody who was even slightly related to Yoriichi in any ways. Further solidifying the attack on the Kamado family was intentional, due to Muzan recognizing this family held the same earring as the very man he feared. However, even with that, the technique survived. Muzan was astonished to see Tanjiro since he believed that he had killed all of the successors. Things went opposite to what Muzan had believed. Tanjiro was alive, meaning he couldn't get rid of the whole family. It seems like he was unaware that the Hanafuda earrings were passed down as part of the family lineage, or else he would have waited near the Kamado household to ambush Tanjiro. Later in Demon Slayer Season 2, Episode 6, we learn more about the encounter Muzan had with Yoriichi in another flashback, but this time it was through the interaction between Tanjiro and Daki. Daki, being the 6th upper moon, is strongly connected to Muzan by his blood and cells. So when Tanjiro uses his Breath of the Sun, or in this case the Dance of the Sun God, whilst giving his speech questioning the reason behind demons killing people, Daki starts having overlapping memories and recalls Muzan's past, which shows Yoriichi, who nearly put an end to Muzan. This time the illustration of Yoriichi is much clearer and looks extremely similar to Tanjiro. The Demon Slayer has a long samurai hairstyle and wears the distinct Hanafuda earrings that we also see Tanjiro wearing. Yoriichi also has a unique red mark on his forehead, similar to Tanjiro's own. Tanjiro then recalls how earlier he received a letter from Shinjiro Rengoku, the father of Kyojuro. He informs Tanjiro that he is a chosen user of the Breath of the Sun, which is the father of all the breaths. He goes on to state that they all have red birthmarks on their forehead. Although Tanjiro dismisses this and explains the origin of his mark on his forehead being a scar rather than a birthmark, he does mention that his father Tanjiro did have a slight birthmark on his forehead. However, Tanjiro's Hanafuda earrings, scar and family ritual dance of the fire god are clearly linked to Yoriichi's, the first breath user. So to understand how this pair of earrings plays an important role in symbolizing some of the main themes of Demon Slayer, let's dial back to Yoriichi's own time and see how he got these earrings and how they were passed on for centuries. Yoriichi and his twin brother Michikatsu was born into the Tsugikuni clan during the Sengoku era, when twins were thought to be a terrible omen. Yoriichi in particular was born with an unusual birthmark on his forehead, prompting their father, to think this kid needs to die, so he wanted to kill him, okay? But his mother Akino went crazy and stopped him. So his parents then met in the middle. Yoriichi was ultimately agreed to be transferred to a monastery to become a monk when he became 10 years old. And despite their father's opinion that the mark was cursed, Yoriichi was endowed with tremendous physical strength as well as the ability to view the bodies of the life forms in transparency. My man basically had X-ray. This helped him see the world in a unique way and even be able to help his dying mother, where he was the only one who could see her illness. However, his behavior was seen as weird and clingy rather than someone with foresight. Whilst living with his family, Yoriichi was raised substantially different from his twin, with far less food and schooling. He was even confined to a small room separate from the rest of the home. This made him extremely socially inept, to the point where he never spoke, which led everyone to believe that he was deaf. Due to this and the love his mother had for him, she decided to make Yoriichi a Hanafuda charm earrings in the hopes that God would grant him the power to speak and he could remember his family. As one of the theme in Demon Slayer is that communication and thoughts are a form of immortality, interacting and passing on information which can live throughout time. Now, funny enough, later on Yoriichi does speak, but it's not confirmed whether he couldn't speak from the start and these earrings helped him out, or if he was just a quiet child and rarely spoke due to his traumatic experience at home. With all that, we come to the legacy of these earrings and how it was passed down. A key thing to note is that Yoriichi's brother did not wear these earrings, neither do the descendants of his brother, the Tokito family, wear them, as their mother made these earrings exclusively for Yoriichi. Yoriichi. So that only leaves Yoriichi's new family members as candidates to pass on the earrings, right? Well, the thing is, we know through the manga that Yoriichi's wife passed away while she was pregnant with their unborn child. Being a very reserved and passionate person, Yoriichi could never move on from the grief that struck him due to his family passing, and he never remarried. Hence, this only leaves someone who's very close to Yoriichi as an option to pass on these earrings. This is where Tanjiro's ancestor comes into play. After losing his family and becoming a demon slayer, Yoriichi encountered Sumiyoshi, presumably saving him from a demon, and they eventually became close friends. Sumiyoshi was Tanjiro's direct ancestor, and he looked remarkably similar to him, literally like an unscarred older version possessing the same facial structure, eyes and hair type. Saying this, I want to note that there is an idea of reincarnation that Gotogear tried to hint at, as with the end of the Demon Slayer series, after many years, Gotogear introduced characters resembling many of the Demon Slayers, though it could be they just look alike simply because they were the descendants, much like Tanjiro is to Sumiyoshi. However, Tanjiro's dreams, reliving his ancestors' memories as though he is Sumiyoshi himself, would be explained if he was a reincarnation. The idea of life after death and the spirits of the dead are canonically part of the story, so this wouldn't be a far-fetched speculation and assumption. Regardless, through Tanjiro's dreamlike memories, we learnt that after Yoriichi failed in killing Muzan, he decided to visit Sumiyoshi and his wife Tsuyako to tell them his entire life story, from his upbringing to all the tragedies he faced. This is shown through Tanjiro's dream in Demon Slayer chapter 187. Whilst Sumiyoshi and his young daughter Sumire stood outside their home, Sumire noticed Yoriichi standing under a tree, so she tugs at her father's clothes to inform him. Yoriichi then sits down telling Sumiyoshi about his entire life and his regrets regarding his family's death, along with Muzan's escape. Yoriichi keeps getting sadder as his life story continues. At that moment, Sumire appears, tugging at the Demon Slayer's Haori. She asks him to carry her. As Yoriichi picks her up, she becomes overjoyed. This simple reaction brings him to tears and he hugs the little girl. Though somewhat bewildered, Sumire returns the favor and embraces him too. At this point, Sumiyoshi's wife Tsuyako walks out of the forest with her second child behind her. Her attention was quickly drawn to Yoriichi as she sees him crying whilst embracing her little girl. Tsuyako then gives him a comforting pat on the head and tells Yoriichi she will let him eat until he's full, asking him to cheer up. Yoriichi and the Kamado household grew closer and closer, almost like a family. With the request of Tsuyako, Yoriichi would perform the sun-breathing techniques, whilst Sumiyoshi would watch intently, burning them into his memories. He felt the sun-breathing forms were so pretty that he forgot to breathe. Through Sumiyoshi's memories, Tanjiro noted that Yoriichi looked more like a spirit than a man. Later on, when Yoriichi gave Sumiyoshi his earrings, he realized that this was the last time he would ever see him. Tsuyako became saddened and worried for the swordsman. But as Sumiyoshi cried out his support for his friend, hearing his promise to pass the forms down to his descendants, they saw Yoriichi's face light up into a smile as he showed his gratitude, waving them goodbye. Yoriichi leaving his Hanafuda earrings to Sumiyoshi, along with performing the sun-breathing techniques in a rhythmic sequence, allowing Sumiyoshi to learn the sun-breathing forms as a dance, was Yoriichi's way of passing down his thoughts, will and desires, just like his mother's prayers and the reason why she made the Hanafuda earring charm and gave it to him. Yoriichi, unlike his brother, did not take an immortal path by becoming a demon. Rather, he relied on the same principle that Ubayashiki spoke of in chapter 137, where he tells Muzan that the reality of eternity that Muzan sought is actually the thoughts of humans, which can be shared and passed on forever. This type of immortality is what is truly indestructible. We also learn that Yoriichi possessed this ideology in chapter 175 in Kokushibo's flashback, or rather this is where it originated from. Even as we speak, Yoriichi tells his brother that we are just a line in the long book of human history. Even as we speak, the voices of those who will surpass us, they will find their way to the same place again. Someday, children will be born into the world and they will surpass us to go onto new heights, on towards the summit. And this thought process, will and desire materialized. Even though Muzan and Kokushibo tried to extinguish the fire Yoriichi set ablaze by killing anyone who knew of the sun-breathing technique, it still survived and lived on.
Yes, Yusuf, and it lived on as a Hinokami Kagura, where Sumiyoshi was capable of using the sun-breathing as the Hinokami Kagura after memorizing the marvelous display by Yoriichi, who later passed down the dance and Yoriichi's earrings for generations to come in the Kamado household. However, none of the female members of the family are seen wearing these earrings. The reason for this can be understood as the lack of female breath style users in the past. Yet, knowing that Sumire is the daughter of Sumiyoshi and Suyako, and is an ancestor of the Kamado family who actually spent time with Yoriichi, it would be fair to assume she knew about the Kagura dance. Although it's more likely that the second child of Sumiyoshi, a boy who was the one to pass it down to the next generation. Now, this brings us to Tanjiro's father, who was a major influence on him and acted as his teacher for the foundations of the Hinokami Kagura. Tanjiro would often watch his dad perform this dance as a child. He learned from his father that there were specific breathing techniques to continue dancing endlessly, which even allowed his old, frail father to perform the dance for long durations. When Tanjiro grew old enough to dance in place of his weakening father, he learned that the correct use of the technique allowed him to blank his mind and enter a plant-like state to gain access to the see-through world, the world where Yoriichi could see muscular movements and even detect ailments. One of the most memorable and impactful moments for Tanjiro comes from a night where a hungry bear was roaming in the vicinity of the Kamado household. Tanjiro, his father, took Tanjiro with him so that Tanjiro could observe and learn to deal with such problems. Tanjiro was frightened at the sight of the predator, but his father quickly killed it with his axe upon entering this state. Tanjiro's ability shocked Tanjiro. Bro, what are this name, man?
Stupid.
And Tanjiro made sure to remember this event. Sometime later, his father passed away, leaving Tanjiro with irremovable memories which would come in handy in future. However, an important thing to note is that the Kamado family weren't the only people bearing the Hanafuda earrings. Later in the story, we are introduced to Zeroshiki Yoriichi, a fighting doll who is based on the actual Yoriichi from the Sengoku era. Now, Tanjiro ends up practicing against the doll version of Yoriichi until it ends up breaking and revealing a rusted sword hidden inside the base of the doll. The sword is 300 years old and more than likely belonged to Yoriichi when he was alive. A side note is that the Demon Slayer universe seems to be in line with the concept of destiny. Like, what are the chances that our main protagonist, who bears the same forehead mark, the same earrings, and flashbacks recalling this same dude like 300 years old and finds his very sword? Like, bruh, come on.
See, now that's some bullshit.
This sword is later reforged by Tanjiro's swordsmith Hagenzuka to be given to Tanjiro as a new sword. This brings the story of Yoriichi and his elder brother Kokushibo in full circle. Yoriichi had always believed that the generations succeeding him would be stronger than him, as they'll carry the dreams and hopes of their masters and forge the path to light. He strongly believed so because that is a part of human nature. We cling to what we know and try to do our best to carry out our dreams. He also believed that major changes cannot be brought about by one person alone. Him passing down the Hanafuda earrings and the dance forms eventually led to Muzan's end, whereas Muzan's lonely quest for immortality was crushed. Through this, the Hanafuda earrings symbolize the true nature of humanity, its strengths, and every shonen's favorite, the power of friendship and brotherhood. In the end, the Hanafuda earring given to Yoriichi by his mother was a wishful charm and a representation of the love for her son. This earring was in the image of the rising sun, which represented Yoriichi very well. Yoriichi was literally the embodiment of the rising sun and a blessing by God to balance the darkness which Muzan brought. Even his own brother attested to this in chapter 177. Kokushibo states how Yoriichi lived with the favor of God lavishing over him. Yoriichi burned so brightly like the sun that they consumed everything around them. So Tanjiro bearing these sun earrings along with the scar and then his sword is Yoriichi's light radiating from the past to the present. This is a story of true immortality which every one of us can relate to. Whew. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button and make sure to become a member. Hit that join button right down below. Become a member. You get access to the premium Discord. We play games, TFT, League of Legends, Counter-Strike, Valorant, all the games with all the members. It's a fun time. Pummel party games. It's great. You guys should definitely become a member and join, you know? Yeah. Alright. See you guys next time. We also watch anime in there. Yeah. See you guys next time. Bye.